Hi, hello, my name is Jessica Villarreal. Welcome again to this new video. If this is your first time, my name is Jessica Villarreal. I'm a foreign architect and I'm in the process to get licensed in US, specific in Florida. And today I have a special guest. We have been planning this for a while. I'm so happy and I'm so proud to introduce Gloria Kloter. She is original from Dominican Republic, and now she lives in Tampa. We are close. Yes. She said, I moved to US in 2015. And after she got married, her husband, Jeremy, tell us about this story. I want to hear from you, Gloria. Thank you for being here. This is a very special moment for us. And please introduce more yourself and tell us about you, your family, and your story and how you moved to US.
How I ended up here. how I ended up here in Tampa. So, first of all, thank you, Jessica, for having me. I'm very excited about this. As you said, we've been planning this for a while, and finally, we're getting together. So very excited with your channel, and I hope you get a lot of subscribers and that you grow the channel with your videos. So yeah, a little bit of my story. So yes, I came in 2015. I had a license back in the Dominican Republic where I'm from, and I thought that I could just transfer my business to the United States because I had my license back there, and I thought, oh yeah, like when me and my husband decided that we were gonna get married and move to the States and all that, I thought it was gonna be just as simple as like we moving here and me just starting to practice as an architect in the States because I had the license back there. And then I had a reality check because obviously that didn't work. Like my license was not valid. I didn't really know anybody. I felt like very lonely in the process. Nobody knew anything about how things work here in the architectural world, at least people that were around me. So it really took me a lot to kind of understand what to do, where to even start my process. So the first thing that happened when I moved back in 2015 was that I came with a tourist visa. I was just married with my husband. We were like newly married. And it was kind of hard to figure things out. And I had to take a job because again, my license was not valid. So I needed to like not open my business, but to just get a job. And I made a couple of mistakes in that process too, because I originally started working for a company when I got my residency and my work, like I was able to work after that. The first job I got was actually with a builder, a home builder, but they didn't, residential works very different in Florida. So like there's ways where like they can build and the plans get approved by the county with just a signature of like a structural engineer, for example. So like I knew that in the process of getting the license here, I needed to report an amount of AXP hours with NCAR that was under a licensed architect in the United States. And I kind of realized pretty quickly in the process that I wasn't in the right company to benefit me in the process that I was trying to accomplish. And you know all about this because you're like going through the same right now. So the next thing I did was like I got a job. I interviewed several companies, and I ended up having a job with a company that was really good to me. I worked with them for about 4 years, and I learned a lot. I think it was a blessing because they just had a lot of really big projects, and they exposed me to things that I don't think I will. I probably will never work on it in my own company that I have now. Like we did a lot of healthcare projects and assisted living facilities, and they were like really big, massive projects that it was just like the exposure to that type of projects I didn't have in the DR because I did a lot of retail stores and restaurants and things like that. And I did residential too in the Dominican Republic. So when I came here, Oh, and I did a lot of education too, like middle to high school, like 12K. So my experience was more with that. I come to the States, and next thing is I got this job with them, and I learned a lot. But yeah, by 2020, we got the pandemic, and right in 2019, right before the pandemic, I got pregnant with my first baby. So to put it in order, I got my license early 2019, and I was kind of happy. Everything was fine. I was happy with my job, et cetera, et cetera. And then the pandemic hit. And then I didn't have a way to register or like enroll my daughter in daycare because of the pandemic as we originally planned. And then everything just went down down the pipe. All the plans just kind of everything we planned was just not happening. So at the end of the day, I had to make a decision based on what was best for my family. And I quit my job and decided to start Glow Architects, which is the company I have right now. I opened it in 2020. It's 2024 now. And we've been just really rocking it. I've been really blessed because as soon as I started telling people that I was opening my business, a lot of people started throwing business at me. I started small with like smaller projects. Some projects were like corporate offices, expansions and renovations, things like that. I did a lot of residential too. And then slowly I started working with investors and developers. And right now we actually have a couple of churches, which was kind of like something out of the blue because I didn't have experience before in the DR or even here in my previous job with anything related to religious buildings. But I got the opportunity with a very experienced developer, and we partnered for the first project, and everything went fine. And after that, he has sent us about 3 more projects, and they're really big for the size of my company, but we've been managing pretty well, and it has been really a blessing. So that's kind of like the story of how when I came to like where I am right now. I think that's kind of what you wanted to know, right?
Right. Actually, you make this story like in short time, like years, right? And
Yeah.
you really like I shared with Gloria before some questions, and you kind of like explain every of those. But yeah, thank you for sharing. And as everybody listen, Gloria, she's a mom. She's busy. And normally what I like to share with everybody is like everybody have a different story. Everybody, even though I'm not a mom, but I'm busy. Like I try to keep myself busy with work, even with family as well. But so you say like you have kids, you have to figure it out about the kids. Also dealing with job versus schedule, it was challenged. Also you mentioned in here like you spend your free time with the kids, with the husband, and play outdoors, which is great. Busy in family, so you are a busy mom and still getting the license done. So that's very impressive. I really admire you to get this
Well,
done
I want to
because it's not.
clarify
I'm in
that
the process. Mhm.
I just want to clarify that personally, I made a decision. I made a decision of getting the license before I start having kids. But I want to clarify something on that topic because in the process of getting the license, I actually met a couple of other women that were just as me trying to get the license. And in the process, they either got pregnant or were already pregnant and were about to have the baby. And then as we were studying, some of them actually had their babies and having like the newborn were studying. And I just want to say, when I was in the process and I came in 2015, I said, I really want to just get this done to start having kids because I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid that I was not going to be able to make it if I had kids and having to study. But I just want to say I was wrong in that perception because I witnessed other women side by side with me that had kids, that were pregnant, that had newborns, that had more than one baby, more than one kid, and were able to pass the exams alongside with me. And I think it was very inspiring. One of the reasons why I actually decided to just go ahead and start having kids when I got the license, because even after I got the license, I was still kind of like, should I start with motherhood? Am I really ready? Can I like just wait a little bit more? Because I'm like trying to grow in my career, try to grow like the whole leadership scene that I've been doing with, serving as a licensing advisor with the state of Florida, with AIA, and all the other stuff that I've been doing with AIA in general, and Women in Architecture, and now the Immigrant Architects Coalition and all that. And it just felt like at the time that I was really career oriented, which I am. I'm very ambitious in that matter, but I was kind of having doubts of my own capacity, because sometimes you get other people telling in your ears like, oh, like you can't do both. It's too much. It's too much. And it really plants a seed in your head of that you have a limitation of what you can do. And I think I wrote a whole book about it called The Architecture of Motherhood. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that I have a book that I published?
No, we will
No.
post it for sure. No, what is about? Tell us
It's,
about it.
a, it's the book is called The Architecture of Motherhood. It was published in 2022, actually 2 years after my daughter was born, my first daughter. I have two, and I'm pregnant, currently pregnant with my third. And I wrote a whole book talking about how to balance motherhood with architecture. I give really good tips and really like a specific step by steps of the things that work for me, that help me to find that balance and still be everything I wanted to be, like being an architect, being a mom, and being a leader, because I'm still a leader in my community, helping people who are trying to get licensed, especially immigrant architects. So my point is, I was having doubts and I delayed things. And then I went to a conference, and a conference that I got a grant. So they cover my expenses to go to this Woman Leadership Summit that AIA National does every year now. Before it was every 2 years, now they do it every year. But I was invited because I got a grant of the shopping chain grant. And I was very fortunate with that because they covered all of my expenses to attend the conference. I don't think I understood the importance of that conference before, so I'm grateful I got the grant, because with the facilitation of them covering my expenses, I actually made it. And now after that, I've been really adamant and advocate of the conference, because it's a conference for women architects, and it's specifically tailored for us, and it's super important. So when I attended that conference, there was one presentation. It was a storytelling presentation where like several women were like presenting their stories and sharing scenes and experiences they went through and challenges. And it was so impactful to me, because there was one specific lady, blonde, man, I can't remember her name, but she was pregnant at the time, and she stand up in the stage and she said, she shared her story in summary, to make it short, to make the story short. She was talking how she had a toddler. She was a leader with NCARB as a licensing advisor too, with the licensing advisors community, as I am. And she was a leader in her job. She was like a very high kind of management level or even principal level. I can't remember. But she was talking about how she went through scenes. She had a previous pregnancy after she had her first baby, her first son, where she I remember it was on Halloween day, that she woke up and she had a very important meeting in the morning, and she needed to present to these clients or something like that. And then she started spotting, she started bleeding. She kind of had to go to the doctor. They confirmed she was having a miscarriage, and she had to, I get a little emotional just thinking about it, because she was in the stage super pregnant. I'm telling you, that lady, she was either 6 or 7 months pregnant. And she's talking, being vulnerable about her situation, how she had a miscarriage where she had to dress herself and her baby and go trick or treat that afternoon with her kid, with her toddler, which was still a baby, when she was having a miscarriage and she was having to manage these clients because she had this meeting. And it kind of makes you see all the things that we as women architects sometimes have to deal with, that you might be in the process of having a miscarriage, like you're losing a baby and you still have to be a mom. You still have to be an architect. You still have to be the leader that you might be helping people getting licensed or whatever it is you're serving. And you need to put a face and smile and keep pushing through, you know? And she said at the end of her presentation, she said, you know, you can be all. You can be an architect, you can be a mom, you can be a leader. And it made such an impact on me. I remember I came back home and I told to my husband, you know what? Let's start having kids. I can do this. This woman just really inspired me, and we're just gonna have kids and we're gonna figure things out.
So Gloria is give us this a perfect example that we should not wait. We normally say, I will do this, I will finish my career or take the test when I'm ready. But she is a perfect example that she make a decision and she is not regret about it, and she make things happen anyway.
Determination and resilience. I think more determination than resilience, because I feel like I just put myself in motion, and I was just very determined of what I wanted to do. I think that's kind of, if I have to choose a word, probably that's the one that describes better what I was doing. And I think with that, there's like a number of other words that come like under, kind of under that umbrella, because yeah, resiliency is one, and organization, kind of giving yourself a structure, because like you can't do most of these things without like
Right.
putting a structure on yourself, like organizing your time, like time management, you know, delegating, like trusting in other people. I even talk about part of this in my book about growing your support system, understanding that there's a lot of these things you don't have to do by yourself, you don't have to do alone. And it is important surrounding yourself with people that will help you and kind of grow with you and like lift you with them. And that goes with everything. That goes with, in the stage you are right now taking the exams, you have to surround yourself with people that will help you get there. um and in the stage of like, if you start having kids at some point and it's something you want for your future and you want for yourself, if that happens, surrounding yourself with people that will help you raise while you are still being the architect you want to be, and doing the things you want to do as an individual, that is completely separate from, you know, the mom or the wife or the whatever, anything else that you're you. Like, I don't know if besides being an architect, you're a painter, for example, and like, how do you spend time on doing that other thing that you want to be doing that makes you happy too? So I feel like there's just so many other things, those words under the word, right, of what you need to put in order to make those things that you want happen. So I
Now
think determination was good. It's a good word for me.
that makes sense. Now you mentioned looking for help, looking for people. You are not alone. Who you going to? Because I feel the same when I came here. First of all, I was not interested to get the license at all. I was like, what is the point? Because I don't really have a clear career plan in my head. It was just me working, working, working. That's what I see myself. But who you find out that it help you, it push you up, or give you the hand to, hey, follow this. This is the better path. As everybody else, I think I make a mistake. I feel like I lost time as well. I spending a lot of money. I still spending a lot of money, and we will talk about that expensive thing a little bit. But who you ask for help?
So that's a good point, and I like that you're bringing that up, because one thing that I like to clarify in this matter is that you and everybody else, including me, we all need a lot of different mentors for a lot of different things. It's not just one person, it's several people for different scenes. And sometimes for like one scene, you need like several mentors just for that one scene. And I think it's important that we clarify that, because sometimes people feel limited to like, if they get paired with a mentor in some program and that's your mentor and that's it. And it's like, nobody knows everything. Nobody's an expert on everything. So you might have a mentor that might help you with this one thing where they are really good at. And then there's all this other stuff that they might not know about it. And you need to find the help on all the other points where you need help, right? So I think if you start classifying the points where you need help is, okay, well, you might be right now in taking the exams. And if I say mentors for the exams, well, get in contact with your local AI aid and see the ARE groups that they're having. Get in contact with people like Michael Risica, who has hosted that ARE bootcamp and is super good. Get in contact with people from the Amber books and get a subscription with them. Get in contact with, other AIA chapters that might not be from Fort Myers, because you're located there, that may have online classes, and get like follow all the social medias of all the ARE stuff or AIE, or they call it sometimes like emerging professionals AIA from even New York, because they sometimes have online things that you can join from here from Florida, and you're just, you're getting the help from other communities that might not be directly in person, and it doesn't matter, right? So I'm talking about the exams. And then you have people like me, you have organizations like NCAR that has licensing advisors, like what I'm doing with them. Then you have people like the Immigrant Architects Coalition, which is a new organization that dedicates themselves to help. You have Architina, which is something else that I'm part of. I'm part of one of the mentors in that group that dedicates Architina. So Architina is an organization that is dedicated to raise the 1% of Latinas architects in the United States, trying to help women who are Latinas who are trying to get their license in the States. And they offer mentorship programs, and they offer this thing they call cohorts, where they impart 8 weeks of classes, presentations, better said, to help people who are in the process of getting their license. And it's like a group of support. So there's like many organizations like that.
And it blew my mind, because every time I interview people and I ask like, where you going to, how we start this, and this is my first time here, and I'm checking here my computer. It looks very interesting. I would double check this. But so you think, Gloria, like, again, I'm overwhelmed with all the information, and
I know, if you let me talk, we can talk for 2 hours here.
I know. So I feel like people like me also start the process. They don't know how to start. If you get to feeling overwhelmed about this conversation, listen to podcasts, webinars, etc., I get it, because I'm in the position as well. What I learned in the past is to take one step at a time. So I'm in the process to not get the test yet. They are tests, but I need ISA to review my credits and tell me if I'm good to go with the test, or I need to take classes before. So I was not thinking about study, because I did in the past, and it's very overwhelmed. When you are in the process for the test, do so, check books, check tests, practice, etc. But if you are in the process, you get visa, or you are working with your lawyer, you spend a lot of money, a lot of time there. And if you get overwhelmed, just take a step back and do what is the next step again, because we get overwhelmed with all the information, and it's so much good resources out there. But if you are not in that step yet, do not take it yet. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, and wait, before you go to that question, I just want to say, I was talking about getting the license because right now that is your interest. But I just want to go a little further for people that might be in your channel, that it's not only they're taking the exams. You get to a point that maybe you finish the exams, then what? You might be wanting to grow in your company, or you might be a step even back, like not below, but like before that, where you are in the process of trying to translate and accommodate your resume and portfolio because you're trying to get a job in the States and you're just brand new in the States. How do you get a mentor, someone to help you in that process? Because most of the time you need someone to kind of check that resume, help you really adapt it to how things are in the States, translate it correctly, put information you might be missing that you didn't think it was important and it's important in the States. And then
Right.
after you get a license, what do you want to do? Do you want to grow in that company? Do you want to escalate to management, principal level? Do you want to go to a different company? Because maybe that's not the right environment for you. Do you want to open a company? If you said, oh, I want to open a company, how do you get mentorship? How do you get people to help you to accomplish that? Because it's not easy. You're in a new country still. English is still your second language. There's a lot of legalism since with contract, risk management. Like, how do you manage that? Well, at that point, maybe Gloria, the licensing architect advisor, might not be the best mentor because maybe Gloria was helping with the license, but maybe Gloria doesn't have a company, right, a firm to help you with that. So maybe Gloria, the owner of Glow Architects, might be the new other mentor that you might need to contact and say, I'm thinking of opening a company, and I'm really lost on how to charge. What are the fees? How do I calculate the fees here in Florida? How do I get new clients? How do I get connected with people that want to get my services? And it's a process. Like when I was starting the company, I got at least five or six different mentors on people who own small companies, similar to what I was envisioning for myself. And I just talk to them. And I talk with people from Florida, from New York, from New Jersey, from California. And I don't know if you're getting the idea of what I said at the beginning. It's one situation and several mentors. And then this other situation where you need help on several mentors, because for the exams, how many mentors and help that I talk to in organizations and resources, right? So it's not like who was the one person. I had many for many different things that I needed. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So you are shared the same situation, thinking it's not one mentor, but it's important to understand where I'm going to and what I want for my career.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we get lost again.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want.
Identifying people that are doing what you want to do.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. It stopped for a little bit. It's good. It's fine.
What I was saying is, and identify them people that are doing or are where you want to be.
Yeah. If you, like you say, if you have your own company, this is a little bit where you need to go. If you want to be employed forever, that's good too. This is the path to go. So it is very important. And also you mentioned something, so we are cover a little bit of the questions here. One of the things I want you to explain a little bit is career costs. So if you can explain a little bit where you went to, because I talk about this here in the channel so everybody is aware, and also I try to tell them, do not be disappointed with the numbers we say here. So we have been talking in the past with other architects from $80,000 to $100,000. Me myself, I'm probably in the process of $20,000 so far. But I don't think it should be an issue for most of us. It's an issue. But yeah, tell us your experience about cost and if you plan in this before.
So it's hard for me to give you a number, and I think I put it in my answer because
money versus architecture license. I get to the conclusion it should not matters. We cannot do anything about it. Who put the price? I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to put costs or money versus results of license in US in this case, because we are not getting anywhere. what I try to do is to find enough resources it give me better prices or lower prices. Like one day I have my translation, a code translation for $36,000 versus $2,000. So that's when I recommend you to play with, to find places that it can save you more money, but not avoid the payments at all. Nothing we can do about it. So don't put this as barrier because you will not get it. I'm sorry. That's the reality.
My past was kind of like up and down, and I made some decisions that were not the right ones. And I think that can really hinder and like hurt your process if you make mistakes in the, you know, in the process and in your journey, and you might spend money and time is money too. So that's one of the things. And I think every situation is very different because it all depends. Like, do you hold a license in your home country? You might be able to, instead of doing the standard path that is for foreign educated people versus the foreign architects, which hold a license. The price for when you're in the standard path, like if you're just foreign educated and don't have a license, you paid a fee to anchor, for example, for your record that is less than what you will pay if you are in the foreign architect path. The record, that profile that you have with anchor, it's more expensive. I think it's close to like $1,000 when the other one is like a couple of hundred, one path versus the other. So just with that, you can start seeing some of the differences, right? Well, then there's the part of like, yeah, you might be paying less in the standard path and more in the foreign architect path, but then with the foreign architect path, you don't need the ESA. So you don't need to translate paperwork. You don't need to go back to school and take classes if there's any deficiencies. So you are saving some money. You might be paying a little bit extra, just one-time fee with the one record, but then you have the ESA, which might be coming back with deficiency of 6 credits, which is only 2 classes, or SETI classes, which, I mean, SETI credits, which is a bunch of classes. It's like going back to university again, right? It depends on the situation. Do you have to go back to school again? Or can you just take a couple of exams, which happens with some people?
Yeah, it's very different for
It's
everybody.
very different for,
If
so
you get a student loan for all this,
I didn't get student loans because in my country, it's kind of hard to get it. So what I did was, my case was very different from other co-students, people that study with me. My mom and dad got divorced when I was very young, and I didn't really have much of like financial support with that situation. And when I decided to study architecture, like my mom didn't really have much money. So I had to start working full time in order to help her with the expenses of my career. So I pretty much worked full time from the beginning, and I had to go very slow with how many classes I could take at a time, which when other friends that started with me were taking 6 classes at a time, I was only able to take sometimes 3 to 4. So I was always behind because I was working full time when some of them were able to just be focused on studying and finish the whole thing, their bachelor's and then master's. But the difference was that by the time I finished, because I was working full time in an architectural firm, I had a lot of experience, and I was able at that point, just graduating, I had so much experience of real life, real big projects that I was offered. Actually, my big first project individually, separated from my job, was a Steve Madden retail store. It was the first one in the country, in the Dominican Republic. So I made mistakes along the way for lack of knowledge, if that makes sense. And then, there's the part that every one of us has to do, which is taking the exams. You might be one of the lucky ones that you just go and study a lot and take all the exams in one week. I've seen it. It's true. It has happened. And then you pass them all. It is something that has happened. I've known of people that have gone and take a bunch of exams and pass a couple of them together. But I wasn't that one of those. I took the exams, and I think I passed the first one in the first try. And then all the other ones, I had to take at least twice, you know, take it the first time, not pass it. And then the second time I will pass it. And there was one I actually failed twice. And then the third time I passed. So my
Okay.
point is, every time you take an exam, you're spending on paying the exam, and you're spending time on it. You're saying no to a lot of family events and things that you want to be doing instead of studying. And then there's the part of the study materials, which is hard to calculate because it might be enough for you to just like take two books and be ready for the exam. It all kind of depends on like what you really have put your hands on in your work experience sometimes versus really how much you actually know. Because some of these things you might never see in your real life, everyday work
Right.
experience, you know. And then I know people that were really, really fast in some of the exams that I was really struggling and like passing really fast. And then they will struggle with the one that were like really easy for me. Like the one exam I passed in the first try, I knew a guy that he struggled. He took it like 3 times, I think it was, before he passed it. But then the one exam that I was like losing my mind at the end of the day, he passed it in the first try
Yeah.
because his experience was different from mine and his expertise was different from mine. So how many study materials you ended up buying? How many resources? Like I ended up taking the ARE bootcamp with Michael Risica, which was the best that happened to me in that moment because the structure he gave me, the guidance, the group of people I knew. Michael Risica has become one of my best friends alone. And it's just like I got so much out of that. I call it an investment, but you might not need it or you might need it. So if you're spending the money on that boot camp, it's an expense that you need to add to that, but maybe you don't need it. I needed the Amber books, for example. Some people don't even use it. And I think it was the best resource for me, but people might not need it. And it is an expensive resource. You know what I'm saying? I bought a lot of books. So I will say, yeah, I spent thousands of dollars, but it's just hard to tell you like this is kind of how much you should expect because the situation is very different for everyone. And I'll tell you this one last thing. Um, I think what we need to do in that matter is like take things one step at a time and try not to get overwhelmed because it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. Just right now you're trying to figure out the ESA, focus on that. And when you're done with that, then focus on the exams and you know,
Yes.
just
That's
one
what
step.
that not no didn't realize in the beginning. I was like, I'm like you, like I'm doing this. I don't care what happened, and I'm very determined with things in my life, and I'm like I'm doing it. And but then I tried to work in different areas, didn't work. You get overwhelmed. So it's a good advice to go step by step. And I will finish this and wrap this I would say chapter that we're talking in general is try to come out with the plan. First of all, understanding what you want for your career. Again, if you want a business or you want to be employed or you want to just be solo, or why is this
Is
career
it
for
residential you want to be doing? Is it commercial, healthcare? What is it? Yeah.
that's important. And also I would say like be part of the NCARP in the early. We are not a sponsor or anything like that here, but I didn't join the NCARP because you have to pay a fee to be part of that and start the process. But I think that's the best way to start the process because you have resources and overall step by step.
Well,
And even
and no matter what, you have to start your profile with them because they are the ones who control the exams anyway. So you have to have the profile.
right, and
You
it's
can
important.
only get NCAR certified so after you pass all the exams and you're like done with your process, just so you know. You can be AIA member without being an architect. That's one thing that you can do. And the advantages that it offers is certain things like you get access to resources. Sometimes they have libraries that they open to people who are members, things like that. So it does have its advantages for people who are associates instead of architects. But I think, again, it's kind of like a personal decision. I will tell you this one thing, for example, regarding the membership. Some people will say, let me play the devil's advocate in this matter. Some people will tell you, oh, there's no advantage on having the AIA membership if you're not an architect yet. And even sometimes when you're an architect, some people don't even see the value of it. I defer from it because AIA really gave me a lot of community and connections when I was a solo person that came from a country with a language that was not mine, was not my first language, and without a connection in architecture. The job I got actually with that employee that you and I know was from a job post they did with the local AIA in Tampa. That's how I heard from it. And what I'm trying to say is I've met so many people that became my mentors when I was taking the exams, when I decided to open my business, when I decided to be part of the board of directors with the AIA, because I became part of the AIA early on as an associate. International associate was actually my membership because I had the license in the Dominican Republic, so it's different. They still see you as you have a license somewhere, you just can't practice here. So my point is, it depends on what you want. I knew I wanted to get involved. I knew I didn't have connections. It was important for me making connections, and to me, the community that the AIA offers, the activities, memberships, kind of mixers and networking events is what it offered me the opportunity to connect with people, make connections that at the end of the day help me in my process, help me find the mentors I was needing because my family and friends didn't know anything about architecture. You know what I'm saying? So I needed to make a connection with architects, and that's what AIA offered to me. And as someone who didn't study here, I didn't went to school here, I didn't have anybody. So that's what AI offer. Besides, obviously, things that I did like more online, like the ARE bootcamp and stuff. But like, I'm just trying to say, it depends on what you are envisioning for yourself. Because maybe some people will tell you there's no advantage in going if you don't have the license yet, because it's like, oh, it's just associate or international associate. But what do you want for you? Because there are other things that are not so tangible where you still can take a lot of advantage
Right.
on your career development, you know?
Yeah. All right. Oh, this is very helpful. I'm enjoying really the conversation with you, Gloria, and thank you. Really, really appreciate you. Inspire me because, and this is part of this channel. Like, I really do this for others. Can learn from and connect with others from these stories, but also myself. I feel like it's so much energy, like good energy hearing from you. Like it's worth it, right? So let me I have two things I want to talk about, and we will close up this video because we will talk here for hours and hours. But we will have a second round for sure with you because I want you to talk more, touch base on resources, how we get, step by step. And so one of the things I want you to talk about is what project stands out to you as the most memorable and what made you so special. I think you mentioned about this
Steve
store
Madden.
in República Dominica.
Yeah, in Dominican Republic. So Steve Madden was a retail store. It was my first one as a independent architect back there. I was just graduated, was back in 2010. And I think it's one of the most memorable from that time because I wasn't expecting it. They hired me initially just to do the renders and to actually work in the CA part, like kind of as a GC, because you can do that back in my country with like smaller projects. And then when I did the renders for them, they realized that the design they had originally, which was sent by an architect they hired from, I think the architect was actually from Venezuela or something. I don't know. It wasn't what they wanted. There wasn't anything wrong with it. I thought it was pretty decent, but it wasn't what they were trying to sell. Like they wanted vibrant colors. They wanted like a different layout, and I think the renders really gave them a visual of what they really were gonna get, and they kind of freak out. And we had 2 weeks to start building, or we were gonna be behind for the main opening of the mall. So the problem with that was they were gonna be penalized daily for every day they were delayed. So it was really important that we will start in 2 weeks. And they said, "Can you give us a new design?" And it's like I had 2 weeks to make a full new design and start building. So it was kind of like a fast track project for me, because as we were doing and we were getting like the permits with the board that was in charge with the mall and all that kind of stuff, it was just like a lot going on when I was new, and I got a lot of support from people who were surrounded, I was surrounded by at that time. But it gave me, I feel like it was kind of like when people say that example of like baptized by fire, like they just throw one in the pool and you have to like start swimming, or you drown. That's what happened with me. I was either gonna drown or I learned to swim, and I learned to swim. That project is very significant for me because it was after I finished it, it was actually, I was contacted by a magazine that is very big. It's like a journal of architectural journal. I didn't contact them. I didn't know it was an option. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, let me contact these people and see if they feature my project. They contact me saying, hey, we want to feature your project, and it had a really nice review from them. And from that, then I told you I got other retail stores and restaurants in malls before I came to the because that was like a lapse of 2010 and 2015 when I came to the States. So I think that's the one that is really memorable. I've done a lot after that and before that too, and in companies that I worked for. But I think because it was my first as an independent architect, and it really pivoted my career with that. So
Bring you more people. So you definitely learn how to swim. So
yeah,
that's good.
sometimes you just have to figure it out.
Right. All right, Clau. Also, Gloria. I was telling Gloria that as a health coach, I really like feel healthy. I'm in the business industry. I was competed 3 times as a bodybuilding. I played sport before, so I think health is important for everybody, especially for us as the architects. That sometimes we sit down in the desk for hours and hours and not realize that even a walk is so important. So she say like she reading that help you to disconnect and quiet the mind. And also you like yoga, walks, outdoors, and exercise. So that's something that you keep in consistent, or is something like you try to
Well, especially being pregnant, I've learned with every pregnancy to be very mindful on nurturing my body, eating really healthy, because I'm pregnant and I'm trying to take care of my body and the baby. But I do a lot of walking early in the morning. Here in Florida, it's really hot, so I have to do it either really early or really late. And then we also I do a lot of prenatal yoga with the pregnancy too, to kind of stretch and be flexible, because it's really important. I'm a huge advocate of the whole natural approach and all that. And my second baby actually had it at home with a midwife with no medications and all that. That's a different story to tell you. But my point is, like, I'm very, very strong on like being healthy and really taking care of myself in that matter. But when I am not pregnant, I love going to the gym. I love working out. And you can do all that when you're pregnant too, like doing lifting and all that, but just like moderate, it's way low key comparing to normal. But yeah, I'm a huge believer of mental health and kind of like taking time of yourself. And if you think about it, one thing to maybe point out is, especially in my situation where like I'm a mom of several kids now, right? I have two, one on the way, so it's gonna be three. And then I have a business to manage, and I serve in the community, helping people with the exams and immigrant artists and all that. And I am a wife, right? I have a husband, I have my family. So one of the things I actually touched base in my book is, when I was in the process, when I opened the business and I was trying to get pregnant the second time, because with the first one was super fast, everything went fine, da da da. Besides the pandemic itself, like everything else was fine. But we decided we wanted a second baby, and I had the business, and I started saying yes to a lot of things and projects. And I think like I got really overwhelmed. I wasn't really managing my time. I wasn't really thinking of myself anymore. I kind of I gained weight. I wasn't really putting time for Gloria. And I kind of got a little bit out of control. And some of the things I got really stressed out. And some of the things I actually touched base in my book is I got 2 pregnancy losses before Neo was born, before that 3rd pregnancy. And I think partially was because of the stress levels and the mismanagement of my time that I had. And I'm very strong in my book talking about how you need to make time for yourself. Like the way I do it right now is I try to wake up before the kids, and I calculate how much time I do need. It's like, well, if I'm gonna work out for like half an hour to 45 minutes, but I still have to take a shower and I like to get some makeup and do my hair, like maybe I need to wake up about an hour before them or an hour and a half. How much is that time that I need? And then I get, and then I get that time for me, and then I start a day like kind of like in peace. Because if you kind of like wake up with them, it's like you're already late. Yeah, you're
Right.
already late. Like you need to, right? So that's kind of part of one of the things that I said, and I think it's really important to find that balance and kind of find that time for yourself. And sometimes being okay with like not seeing all the time being perfect. It just happens, you just
Right. Just
yeah.
have a little structure and not need to be perfect. And we need to plan. People is like, I don't have any structure. I do whatever, right? Whatever it comes. But I don't know. Good luck to get things done that way. But I feel like we need plan. We need a little bit of structure. If things change, it's okay.
It's okay.
Right.
Sometimes it's helpful. One thing that helps me a lot is having like to-do lists for the day, which you kind of go over really early in the morning. And then like knowing from that to-do list what's really priority and what's the things that if you at least accomplish that, you are going to feel accomplished at the end of the day. And like if there's something that you might not be able to accomplish, then you pass it to the next day and it's fine. And if you do it, fine, better. But if it doesn't, then next day. And I think it's kind of having that flexibility mentally on what needs to be done and what really needs to be done. you know what's really important and what's maybe not, I guess.
All righty, Gloria, I think I said wrapping up twice already, but let's do this as a wrap it up. Why to get a license?
Oh, I like to think about it as it kind of give you the power to make your own decisions. I see the license as the power of you saying what you want to do after that. I think when you don't have it, I don't think you need it to be successful in architecture. I agree with that. There's many successful people in the States that are successful without the license, but I do think that it limits you on your choices. And I like having choices. I like to be able to call myself an architect. That was a big one for me. Not being able to introduce myself to you. Hi, Jessica. I'm Gloria and I'm an architect. Not being able to say that really hurt me because like we know how hard it is going to school and the money we spend and the time we spend. And not being able to say that I was an architect really just hurt my ego, to say it in simple words. But also having the options. Like when it happened, that story I told you back in 2020 that I needed to make a decision because I had a baby and no daycare. If I wouldn't have had the license, what do you think would have been my option? I would have had to take it. Just do what they were telling me to do. And that was not my situation because I had the power in my hand with my license of saying, you know what? I quit. I'm going to open my business and let's see what happens. And I only was able to do that because I had the license. So I think I see it. Yeah, it gives you options and options and power over what you want to do. You can make decisions based on what's best for you, not what you are limited to do, if that makes sense.
Love it. Thank you so much, Gloria. This has been very joyful. I really like the conversation, and I will leave in the description box and I will share with you with everybody, if you're okay with that, your email address. The people can reach
social
you out.
media. Please contact me on social media. I'm really big in Instagram and Facebook, especially more than LinkedIn. So please reach out.
Part of so Gloria has a Facebook page. I'm not going to. I promise I'm going to do it because I want, and if you let me to do it, I want to share this in the group as well.
Yes.
I want to involve everybody like in the process and also be aware of the resources they can get, you know, to the process, not be discouraged. But it's a big group. Like, I don't know, last time I saw it was like 2,000 people in there. And it's very interesting, the questions they make. And yeah, I'm going to participate more in that group. I love it. I love it. And so also we share your company information and everything here. So thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
I will
Yeah,
see
thank you
you.
for having me.
You're welcome. I will see you for sure. We will have a second interview with some specific topics. We'll
Of course,
figure it
anytime.
out later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.